In the year 1720, global information moved at the speed of sail, stamped into existence through brute mechanical force. This is the American Weekly Mercury, specifically the 4-page edition published in Philadelphia on Thursday, October 27, 1720. These 4 pages contain a dense, heavily interconnected global intelligence network that reaches far beyond the boundaries of a single colony. The document traces the lines of an integrated Atlantic system, pulling dispatches from the North American coast, the Caribbean sugar islands, European capitals, and the shores of North Africa. The recorded reality is brutal. For colonial readers, daily life was defined by threats of state-sanctioned piracy and the bureaucratic machinery of human commodification. Reading this 1720 edition like an intelligence briefing exposes the specific mechanics of how this world operated. For the colonist, international violence across the ocean and local oppression in their own streets fed the exact same economic engine. The investigation begins with the lead foreign dispatch, tracing a line directly across the Atlantic to the Mediterranean coast. A private letter here describes the island of Sardinia in a state of extreme poverty and distress. The dispatch reports continual ravages by occupying Spanish soldiers who plunder provisions and physically beat the natives during their lawless proceedings. These natives operate without any authority to appeal to, leaving them helpless against the injustices of imperial occupation. The same report details a secondary, lethal conflict, the interception of a Moorish half-galley by a Genoese vessel. After being repulsed by local countrymen, the raiding party is met by the Genoese on the shoreline, where several are killed in the exchange. The survivors are immediately sold for slaves to a local merchant, bypassing the status of traditional prisoners of war. For the 1720 reader, this rapid enslavement of a defeated enemy was a standard tool of international control. Maritime trade along the Spanish shore was dominated by the threat of the Sally rovers. Captured Christian sailors faced perpetual and wretched slavery, with the text explicitly noting there was often no hope of redemption. This created a specific hostage economy, where the captors rejected ransom money, demanding illegal weapons and warlike stores instead. Diplomatic tensions were high. The Emperor of Morocco refused standard ambassadors with great disdain, demanding British royalty personally negotiate any peace. This volatile environment encouraged high-stakes smuggling, as seen in the report of a merchant captured near Ceuta. His contracts revealed he was supplying the Moors with a large quantity of bombs to assist their attacks on the local garrison. The Spaniards condemned him to life imprisonment underground for this act of wartime trade with the enemy. Hostage economies and illicit arms smuggling turned the Mediterranean into a volatile gridlock, with direct consequences for Atlantic trade. The focus shifts back across the Atlantic to the Caribbean, before moving up the American coastline to New York. An alarming dispatch from a sloop arriving in New York reports a massive pirate threat near St. Christopher's. This force, commanded by a Welshman, included a ship armed with 20 guns and a crew of 170 men. These pirates sent a violent ultimatum to the governor of Nevis, threatening to burn the town in retaliation for the hanging of their comrades. This peripheral violence stands in sharp contrast to the procedural politics of Pennsylvania. The Colonial Assembly focused on the mundane tasks of revising local laws and issuing formal well-wishes for the governor's health. Simultaneously, New York was engaged in performative royal celebrations to honor the king's coronation. Houses were illuminated and bonfires lit as the garrison fired great guns, projecting an image of stable British civility. This juxtaposition highlights a core colonial anxiety. Elites performed European order to mask the pirate-infested borders of their precarious empire. The editorial and political news eventually gives way to the harsh commercial reality on the back pages. The classified advertisements functioned as the primary economic engine of the colonial project. John Copson's notice offers a very likely young Negro man for sale, listing a human being as a simple commodity. The apparatus of slave catching appears in a reward notice for John, a coachman who fled a plantation in Virginia. The ad lists gruesome identifying marks, including a small bump on his leg and a hole punched through each ear. Yet another notice describes a 12-year-old child recently captured in Maryland. The boy gives his name as Daniel James, but his struggle to speak English highlights the total displacement of the transatlantic trade. A final notice tracks an indentured white servant named John Peacock, identified by a missing finger joint. These notices integrate the newspaper directly into the apparatus of control. It functions as an active instrument of enforcement, deputizing every reader into a decentralized network of bounty hunters. Viewed as a single system, the 4 pages of the Mercury reveal a complex, integrated informational network. The text identifies colonial Americans as deeply connected global citizens. They recognized that hostage standoffs in North Africa and pirate raids in the Caribbean were parts of the same strategic reality. Global imperial wars and local colonial economies both relied on the normalized systems of enslavement and servitude found in the ads. The American Weekly Mercury facilitated this brutal world as an active participant in its commerce. The 18th century frontier was a relentless environment where commerce, violence, and empire were completely indistinguishable.
The Daily Dispatch, history in print. No modern gloss, no modern hint. Just black and white, and read today. The Daily Dispatch